what is on your mind that we have talked about tonight that you would like to talk more about?
That there are examples of success. Not all of them scaled perfectly, but there are a lot of lessons for St. Louis to learn from other communities. I moved to St. Louis about a decade ago, and one of the things I've come to learn about St. Louis is it often thinks it's so unique. It is. It has its own history. Its particular history matters. But there are a lot of communities in this country that are divided by a state line, have many counties and school districts, and obviously have a history of racism and other issues that we have to deal with head on. But there are models of success. There are lessons on how to organize communities effectively. We need to learn them. We need to bring them home. The onus is on our leadership to do so. That's where we need to go in this conversation, I think, because we can create the conditions when leaders organize differently to implement very different solutions than we're capable now with the same resources. I know we need more resources, but even just changing how we organize can make better use of the resources we have to get better outcomes now. We need to do it.
Is that possible? Is that possible?
I think it is possible. I mean, so we see the beginning stages of some of this in some of the collective work that's happening right now, the multi-sector work that's happening around early childhood. There's a group that's been convening and gathering for the last few years on the Missouri side of the river. There's an East St. Louis partnership around early childhood investment that's gathering now. And on both sides of the river, we see some of this organizing happening for youth master planning that will perhaps include some of these solutions in partnership with the Forum for Youth Investment under the moniker of Ready by 21. So we see the beginning stages of it. The question will we have the will to keep the pace of our progress as long as, and keep the vision in mind ultimately, because we know it's not going to happen quickly. We won't see the outcomes tomorrow, but we've got to continue to invest with an eye toward the future.
Does this have to be something radical that happens? I mean, our education is so important to our health. Our education, we know the struggles that we have there. Is there something radical that has to happen here for our schools to get better so we can be healthier?
Well, I think as Paul said, this is not rocket science. Other folks have learned how to do this. We're doing great stuff in the region, but just not at scale. Again, it's both having the leaders to act, but it's also the rest of us. The rest of us, I know our lives are busy. We have a lot of things going on, fast-paced world. Stop for a moment and say, do I want to be part of making my region better because I'll benefit from it? Do I want to be part of doing something that's going to impact the lives of others that are around me? And do you have to check Facebook one more time? And do you have to do all those things that take up all of our minutes of our lives, right? So can we allocate a little more time to do something a little different and be engaged in something bigger than what you're doing today?
I think that's a critical piece, though, the regionalization piece. And that's something that is very unique to St. Louis. I'm a relative newcomer here, and I can think of a cautionary tale in my hometown, Detroit, where you can see what happens when you don't have a strong regional coalition, where there's a city versus suburbs mentality. What's unique here is there's so many different municipalities, all of which I do not know. And there's so many different school districts, et cetera, resources are so split. I think that's something that, from a leadership perspective, has to be worked out so that there's a more cohesive regional approach to the problems that we face.
I think part of what needs to shift radically is thinking about children who live in 63106, like Maya, like the Jasmine story, as resources. We invest in resources, we solve problems. As long as we think of those children as problems, we're not going to invest in them. We're not going to treat them as if they matter for our entire region, and we need to treat them as resources.
We'll leave that as the last word on the air and invite you to join us online. We've just been awarded some fresh time. I apologize. We had a lifeline. We have 60 seconds. I think that reminded me of some of the sentiment you've talked about when we're educating our children. Do you care to bounce off of what he was just saying there?
We just need to, we need to think about the regionalism, the idea that our children are key, are resources to our community, that it is in our own best interest as a community, as a region, to invest in them. The notion that $1 returns $7 to $17 in benefit is a straightforward economic argument that should make common sense to all of us. It's the issue of will, it's the issue of organizing, it's the issue of democracy. Let's enact that.